I was just trying to get my son to the library, that's all. One quiet, peaceful afternoon. He loves books, especially ones with animals. He points at every page, even though he can't read yet. His little fingers tremble when he's excited. I love watching that. We parked close to the entrance because walking too far wears him out. His condition, well, it's complicated. But he can't eat on his own. His feeding tube runs from his backpack to his stomach. We've explained it 100 times. I've gotten used to the stares, the whispers, the forced smiles from strangers who don't understand. I had just unbuckled him from his car seat and lifted him out. His tiny body melted into mine. He was tired. I adjusted the tube and checked the flow. All normal. Then I heard her. "Excuse me, is that sanitary?" I turned, tightening my hold on him. A woman stood a few feet away, arms crossed. Blonde bob, sunglasses too big for her face, and that purse, monogrammed, of course. HOA energy radiating off her. I forced a smile. "Yes, it's medical equipment. He needs it to—" She cut me off. "It looks unsightly. You're in a public space." Unsightly? I looked down at my son. He had started to smile. He always does when he hears voices. His way of making friends. "It's not hurting anyone," I said. "Please. We're just going inside." She made a face like I'd handed her a dirty diaper. "Well, I'm sorry, but I don't think that kind of setup should be allowed in places where children play. There are health codes, you know?" I blinked. "What?" "My son has allergies. I don't want him around that. It's not contagious." "I don't know that," she said, her voice rising. "And it's very aggressive looking. It makes people uncomfortable." My heart started pounding. I shifted my son on my hip. "He's not trying to make anyone uncomfortable. He just wants to read some books," she scoffed. "With that thing hanging off his bag, it's disturbing." My voice cracked. "That thing is how he stays alive." She didn't blink. "Then maybe he should stay at home." I don't know. What hit me harder? Her words, or the way she said them. Like my son didn't belong. Like he was some kind of threat. Like he was a problem to be hidden. I looked at my boy again. He wasn't smiling anymore. He was watching her. Quiet. Still. His lips parted just slightly and I saw the tremble. "Please," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "We're just going inside. It's none of your business." She stepped closer. "If you cared about your child, you wouldn't parade him around like that." My knees buckled a little. "Don't talk about my parenting." "I'm just saying," she sneered. "It's not right. That tube, it's just dangling out. What if another child grabs it? What if someone trips? It's connected to his body." Her eyes narrowed. "So you're just going to let him walk around leaking medical fluid in a public building?" "Stop," I said sharply. "Stop talking. Right now." My son whimpered. She looked down at him, then back at me, and for a split second, I thought, maybe she realized how cruel she was being. Maybe she'd walk away. But instead she muttered, "Some people just don't belong in public." I felt like I'd been punched. That's when a man walked past us, giving her a sharp look. She folded her arms and backed off a few steps, clearly realizing people were starting to stare, but not before throwing out one more line. "If no one else will say it, I will. It's disgusting." I watched her walk off toward the other end of the lot. My hands were shaking. My son clung to me, silent now. I could feel his breath against my neck. Shallow, nervous. I whispered into his ear, "You are perfect. You are beautiful. She's just mean." But I could feel it. His little body was tense. He understood something had happened. He just didn't know what. I wanted to cry. But I didn't. Not yet. We walked into the library like everything was normal. Like our world hadn't just been shattered for the 1,000th time by someone who refused to understand. I kept my chin up. I smiled at the librarian. I found the animal book aisle. I did everything I could to make it feel like a good day. But inside, something was unraveling. And the worst part? That wasn't even the end. was only the beginning. It had only been 2 days. 2 days since that woman, Karen, I later found out her name really was Karen, called my son's feeding tube disgusting. 2 days since she said we didn't belong in public. 2 days since I walked out of that library, holding back tears. My son too quiet for a 4-year-old who normally giggled at every bird, tree, and squirrel. I thought that would be the last time we'd see her. I was wrong. We were outside the grocery store this time. Same backpack, same tube, same child, different day. My son had been doing better. He was even humming to himself in the car. I love that sound. It's soft and off-key and perfect. I parked in the handicapped spot, put up the placard, and unbuckled him from his seat. As usual, I checked the line from his backpack to the port in his abdomen. Everything was flowing properly. I adjusted the clamp, kissed the top of his head, and lifted him into my arms. And then, her voice. Again. Oh no, not you. I froze. I turned slowly. It was her. Standing next to her Lexus, arms crossed, mouth twisted like she'd bitten into something sour. "What are you doing here?" she asked, like she owned the parking lot. "We're buying groceries," I replied, calm but firm. "Same as everyone else." She looked me up and down. "You know, I called the library. Told them about what you brought in there." I clutched my son tighter. "What are you talking about?" "That medical thing. I told them it was a safety hazard. They said they'd look into it." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "It's not dangerous. It's my son's feeding tube." She shrugged. "Still makes people uncomfortable. And now you're parading it around again? Honestly, I'm starting to think you're doing this on purpose. For attention." My jaw dropped. "Are you serious right now? You could feed him in the car or at home, not out here where children can see. He doesn't eat like other kids. This isn't a juice box. It's not a snack." She leaned in closer. "It looks like something out of a hospital ward. You expect people to be okay seeing that in public?" "Yes," I snapped. "Because it's real. Because it's our life. Because he's a human being." She rolled her eyes. "Well, don't get mad when people start complaining." I felt my pulse spike. "You are people. You are the one complaining." My son squirmed slightly. I glanced down. His brows were furrowed. He was breathing fast. He was confused and scared. I looked back at her. "You need to leave us alone," she smirked. "Or what?" I stepped back. "I'm not going to argue with you in a parking lot. We're going inside." "Not if I call security." I stopped. "On what grounds?" "Exposure. Public health. Disturbance." My lips trembled. "You're making me feel unsafe. You're the disturbance." She took a step toward me. "Look, I've tried to be civil. But if you keep shoving that thing in everyone's face, someone's going to do something about it." I stared at her. My heart was pounding. My stomach turned. I was holding my son so tightly I thought I might bruise him. That's when I said it, quietly. "Please. Please leave us alone." For a moment, she looked stunned. Then her expression twisted. "Oh, now you want to play the victim?" I turned. Away. I just wanted to get inside. My son whimpered again. I kissed his forehead. "It's okay," I whispered. "We're okay." But we weren't, because she didn't stop. She followed me, all the way to the sliding doors. "People like you. Use your kids to get sympathy," she hissed behind me. I spun around. "People like me?" "Yeah. Playing the sad little mom card. Walking around with tubes and wires to get people to feel sorry for you." I was shaking. "You don't know anything about my life. I know drama when I see it." "Lady," I said, loud enough for someone near the carts to turn and look. "If you say one more thing about my son—" She walked past me, bumped my shoulder, and sneered, "Fine. But don't be surprised when someone gets tired of looking at that thing." I should have walked away right then, but my son started coughing, and she stopped, turned, and said, "God, he sounds sick. Should he even be out?" That was the moment. That was when I knew something worse was coming. Because I'd seen the look in her eyes. It wasn't just disgust anymore. It was hatred. Real, seething hatred. Like my son's existence offended her. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just walked inside. Found a cart. Buckled him in. I checked the tube again. It was still flowing. His formula was still reaching his stomach. His color looked okay, but he was quiet again, and he kept looking back at the door. We were only inside for 10 minutes. I had just finished grabbing applesauce and some of the formula mix my son needs for his tube. He was still quiet in the cart, holding his little stuffed panda, the one he named Boo. His eyes weren't sparkling like usual. He just stared straight ahead, like he was waiting for something to go wrong. I was trying so hard to make the day feel normal. I even picked up a sticker book I knew he'd love. Then I heard the voice behind me, again. You didn't listen. I froze, mid-step. My stomach dropped. Don't ignore me, she snapped. I turned slowly. Karen was standing right there in the cereal aisle. How she found us, I don't know, but she did. I asked you nicely, she said, louder now. And yet here you are, waving that thing around again. I stepped between her and the cart. You're following us now? What is wrong with you? She pointed at the feeding tube. That's what's wrong. He needs it to survive. You keep saying that like it's an excuse. It's not an excuse. It's his life. She walked closer. I reached back and touched the backpack. The clamp was still in place. The tube was secured. My son looked up at me, confused. His lips started to quiver. Karen jabbed her finger at the backpack. This is a public store, not your personal hospital. Do you know how many people feel sick just seeing that? No one feels that way but you. Oh, believe me, she sneered. I'm just the only one with the guts to say it. I shook my head. Stay away from my son. Her hand twitched. I saw it, and I screamed, Don't you dare! But it was too late. She reached past me, grabbed the tube, and yanked. It felt like the world cracked open. My son let out the most blood-curdling scream I've ever heard. Not just pain, terror. He clutched his stomach and started sobbing, gasping, twisting in the cart. The formula sprayed across the floor. The tube hung in her hand, disconnected. I shoved her back. What did you do? I stumbled, holding the tube like it was contaminated. I didn't know it was... He's attached to that. You ripped it out! People were staring now. One woman ran over. A man was already calling 911. My son was screaming, his eyes wide with panic, his arms reaching for me, but he was shaking so hard I couldn't even lift him right away. Blood started to soak through his shirt, just under the port. I dropped to my knees. It's okay, baby. I've got you. I've got you. You're okay. Mama's here. He whimpered, trying to breathe, trying to speak, but his words were jumbled, swallowed by sobs. I grabbed napkins from a nearby display and pressed them to his stomach. Stay with me, baby. Just stay with me. Karen just stood there, frozen. I didn't mean to, she whispered. You yanked a medical device out of a child! I screamed, not caring who heard. A store employee came rushing over. We called. An ambulance! What happened? She assaulted my son, I shouted. She ripped his feeding tube out. She said it was gross, a teenage girl nearby yelled. I heard her. She was yelling at them. Karen dropped the tube like it was burning her. I thought it was loose. I didn't know it was in him. He's 4 years old, I screamed. What did you think it was for? My son's breathing was shallow now. His eyes rolled for a second, and I almost lost it right there. Pulled him out of the cart and cradled him in my lap on the cold tile floor. He whispered, Mama, I'm here, baby. I'm here. Don't close your eyes. Please don't close your eyes. Everything else blurred. People yelling, someone holding Karen back as she tried to walk away. Me, pressing cloth to my son's abdomen, trying not to cry, trying not to scream, trying to stay calm for him. Then, sirens. Paramedics ran in, voices firm but kind. They laid him down, checked his vitals, started stabilizing him. They asked me questions I couldn't even process. What's his condition? What formula was he on? When was the last time he was fed? Did anyone touch the port? He was assaulted, I choked out. She ripped it out. She ripped it out. They nodded grimly and loaded him onto the stretcher. I'm coming, I said, climbing into the ambulance with them. Karen was still outside the store when they wheeled us out, surrounded now, one officer holding a notepad. She wasn't talking anymore. I looked straight at her. You did this, I said. You did this. She didn't say a word, just looked away. As the ambulance doors closed, I held my son's hand and whispered, You're going to be okay. You're stronger than anyone I know. But I didn't believe myself, because in that moment, with his face pale and his shirt stained red, I wasn't sure if he was going to be okay. And all I could do was pray. The ambulance rocked slightly as we sped toward the hospital. I sat on the bench, my hands trembling, clutching my son's tiny fingers. Mama's here. You're okay. You're gonna be okay. His skin felt cold. Too cold. His lips were pale, and his eyes, barely open, looked at me, confused, distant. There was a tube in his nose now, another in his arm. Monitors beeped steadily, but every sound felt like a countdown. Stay with me, I whispered. Please, baby. Stay with me. One of the paramedics glanced over. We're stabilizing him. You're doing great, Mom. Just keep talking to him. I nodded, but I couldn't speak for a few seconds. My throat was too tight. I stared at my son's chest, willing it to rise and fall, rise and fall, rise and fall. I kissed his forehead. You remember Boo Bear? I held up his little panda. He's here. He came with us. Just like always. No response. His eyes fluttered shut again. No, baby, stay awake. Look at me, please look at me. The paramedic moved faster, adjusting the oxygen. We're almost there, he said. Hang on. The ambulance jerked to a stop. Doors swung open. They rushed him out, and I ran alongside the gurney, shouting his name. You're gonna be okay. We're here now, sweetie. They're gonna fix everything. Through the ER doors, bright lights, voices shouting codes I didn't understand, nurses moving in all directions. A nurse turned to me. We've got him. Now, you can wait just outside, Mom. We'll come get you the moment we can. I shook my head. No, I can't leave him. I promise. We'll take care of him. Let us work, please. A doctor put a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing getting him here. He's in good hands. They closed the curtain. Stood there frozen, staring at it. Then I fell into the plastic chair outside and covered my face with both hands. And I cried. Big, ugly, shaking sobs that felt like they ripped out of my chest. Mama? A soft voice beside me. It was an older woman. Volunteer badge. Gray hair. Kind eyes. Do you need water? I nodded. She brought it back, along with tissues. What happened? She asked gently. I told her. All of it. How Karen had followed us. How she screamed. How she ripped the tube out of my son's body. How he screamed and bled and collapsed in the store. The woman's face tightened. She did what? I nodded. He's 4. He didn't even understand what was happening. She sat next to me and didn't say anything for a long time. Just placed a hand on my back as I sobbed into my palms again. I must have sat there for over an hour before a nurse came out. He's awake, she said. I leapt to my feet. He's asking for you. When I walked in, he was pale, hooked up to more wires than before, but he looked at me. Really looked at me. His eyes locked with mine and filled with tears. Mama. I ran to his side and held his hand, sobbing all over again. I'm here. I'm here. You're okay. Hurts. I know, baby, I know. But they fixed it. The doctors fixed it. You're safe now. He sniffled. Tube gone? No, I said gently. They had to put in a new one. But it's better now. It's okay now. He turned away and cried quietly. It broke me. I rubbed his back. You're the bravest boy in the world. You know that? I scared. I was too, I whispered. But you're still here. You made it. Later that day, a doctor explained everything. The port had torn. Some bleeding, mild infection risk. They were monitoring it closely. But the biggest worry? The emotional trauma. He's going to need support, she said. This kind of thing doesn't just hurt the body. It can affect trust, safety, everything. I nodded. Because I knew. That woman hadn't just hurt his body. She'd tried to humiliate him for being different. She'd taken something he'd already struggled to live with and turned it into a weapon. Later that night, as he drifted off to sleep, still weak, still pale, I sat in the dark beside his bed and whispered to him. "You're perfect, do you hear me? There's nothing wrong with you, nothing." He stirred, his eyes barely open. "I love you, Mama." I kissed his forehead. "I love you more than anything, baby." I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there, holding his hand, watching every breath, every flicker of his eyelashes, afraid that if I blinked, I'd miss something. And every time, I remembered the sound of that tube ripping free. I wanted to scream. The courtroom was quiet, cold, sterile, no shouting, no drama, but my hands were shaking as I sat on the hard wooden bench, staring at the back of her head, Karen. She didn't look like the woman who'd screamed at me in the store. She was in a neat beige dress, hair combed, sitting with her hands folded in front of her. Calm. Like none of this was real. But it was. Because my son was sitting next to me in a tiny suit, clutching my hand like he used to do when he was learning to walk. His new feeding tube peeked out from under his shirt. A reminder. A scar. The judge called my name. I stood up. My legs felt like they were made of glass. "I understand you would like to make a victim impact statement," the judge said. I nodded. Walked to the podium. My mouth was dry. My hands were damp. But I looked straight at her. "She ripped a medical device out of my 4-year-old son," I said, "because she didn't like how it looked." Karen looked down. She didn't ask what it was. She didn't ask if he was okay. She decided she was offended. By a child. I turned toward the judge. She followed us into the store. She harassed us. And then she assaulted my son. The judge watched me, silent, listening. "She caused physical damage," I continued. "His sight tore. He bled. He screamed. He couldn't eat for days while they inserted a new port." My voice cracked. But the worst part wasn't the pain. It was the fear, the confusion on his face, the shame he felt. I turned to look at her again. He asked me afterward if he was bad for needing his tube. He said, "Maybe that lady was right, Mama. Maybe I am scary." Karen's lips tightened, but she still didn't look at me. I stared at her. "Do you know what that feels like? To hear your baby question whether he deserves kindness because you couldn't handle your own ignorance?" She still didn't speak. I stepped back. The judge thanked me. And then, to my surprise, he looked at my son. "Would you like to say anything, young man?" I froze. "He doesn't have to." But my son squeezed my hand and nodded. He stood up on wobbly legs and walked up to the microphone. The courtroom went dead silent. He looked so small standing there, but his voice, though quiet, didn't shake. "I didn't do anything wrong," he said. "I just wanted to go shopping with my mom, that's all." He looked at the judge. "She hurt me. It hurt really bad. I cried a lot." Then, turning to her, he pointed at Karen. "You said I was gross." She looked up. Finally. He didn't flinch. "I'm not gross," he said. "I'm just me." My heart shattered all over again. He turned back to the judge. "I want her to say sorry." Silence. Tears ran down my face. Even some of the jury looked shaken. The judge cleared his throat. "Thank you, young man. You are incredibly brave." After that, it was a blur. The verdict. Guilty on misdemeanor assault and child endangerment. Probation. Community service. Mandatory sensitivity training. No jail time. Not what I wanted. But enough for her to be marked. Enough for the world to know. Outside, reporters were waiting. I shielded my son from the flashes and microphones. A woman leaned in and whispered, "He's a hero." I looked down at him. He was holding Boo Bear, tight against his chest. "You did good, baby," I whispered. He smiled a little. "Did I say the right stuff?" "You said everything that mattered." We drove home in silence. When we pulled into the driveway, he looked out the window at our front yard. "Mama?" "Yes, sweetie." "Can we plant something?" I blinked. Plant something? He nodded. A flower. Like a special flower. For today. I smiled, even though my chest still hurt from everything. Yeah, we can. We planted a sunflower that weekend, right by the mailbox. He picked it himself. This one's for brave kids, he said as we poured the soil. So they always know they're not gross. I hugged him so tight. No, baby, I whispered. They're never gross. They're gold.